Welcome back. The chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Jack Reed, says his committee will push back the markup of the National Defense Authorization Act to July. That means a calendar year-end timeline for the NDAA is likely. The Appropriations Committees, though, are hearing from defense officials already. Dov Zakheim, senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, former Undersecretary of Defense Comptroller. Dov, welcome. It's great to see you. Long line of budget hearings this week. What do you make of the various questions and answers that went around Capitol Hill this week?
Well, there seems to be a lot of frustration. They're getting the Congress, that is not getting much in the way of answers. What they know is that the defense budget's going to be about $715 billion, and they really don't know much more than that. They're not getting any detail because no detail's been released. I think that's why Senator Reed, Chairman Reed, has said he has to postpone any kind of markup. We heard earlier this month that, or rather last month, that Chairman Adam Smith, had said pretty much the same thing, that they needed to get all the detail by May 10th. Well, May 10th is right around the corner, and there's no detail coming. And you could hear the frustration on the part of members who simply were not getting any detail.
What is the impact of pushing the NDAA inside the building? What does that mean for the practitioners inside the Pentagon, Dov?
Well, ultimately, if we're talking about another continuing resolution, what that means is no new starts, plans to increase the level of production for particular programs can't go ahead. Congress very often will give some exemptions to in a continuing resolution, but not too many. Essentially, it totally messes up planning. It messes up the program, the smoothness of a program. It just makes it awfully difficult. And this year is especially a problem because it's a new administration. The fiscal 22 budget is supposed to at least indicate the direction in which the administration wants to go in terms of what its defense program is going to look like. It'll be fully fleshed out in fiscal 23. But this is the year that it starts to indicate where it wants to go. Well, this just might not happen for quite some time.
Does that matter? Does the delay matter potentially for some of the strategic documents that are supposed to guide where the Biden administration wants to go? A national defense strategy, a national security strategy, and so on.
It could, because it all has to be coordinated. And until they know, I think they know where they want to go. And I'm pretty sure the documents will not be inconsistent with the program whenever it comes out. But of course, just to give one concrete example, the role of the Army in Asia is something that's being hotly debated right now. Until they sort all that out, I don't see how a strategy document can really be very clear about that.
You mentioned the controversy about the Army and its role in the Pacific and in Asia. When was the last time, I guess I should ask it that way, that you saw the kind of dialogue that is going on among the branches, not just in the context of the budget debate, but in the context of the broader strategic conversation?
Well, it's been quite some time, quite frankly. I mean, you could go all the way back to the 80s where the Navy was having a major debate with everybody else as to their role in terms of how to deal with the Russians in Europe, the Soviets, I should say. And if you recall or may recall, Secretary of the Navy John Lehman was pushing very, very hard for aircraft carriers going all the way up near the Soviet Union in order to play a major role in any kind of war. But since then, it hasn't been as obvious. And this time around, the Army faces a choice, it looks like. It's actually, some of its leaders have said so, between the possibility of having to cut back on forces or to cut back on modernization at the very same time that it has to modernize in a very different way because it does want to be part of whatever we might have to do in the Pacific and in Asia.
And that strikes me, Dov, that is the issue with the strategy documents, is somebody's got to decide exactly what the roles are for all of these services and what exactly we expect them to accomplish in 2025 and in 2030 to now set them up for success to do that. Is that the real core issue at hand here?
Well, I think the spending issue is very, very important. You know, traditionally the services have basically split things up one third, one third, one third, with a couple percentage points here or there. It looks like this time it's going to be different. And oh, by the way, we now have a Space Force as well, which is a player. And that's going to consume some resources that otherwise might have gone elsewhere. We are talking about a very different kind of warfare. And if you look out to the 30s, then you have to look at the kind of novel that Admiral Jim Stavridis just wrote about, where it could be a very different kind of war. So they're grappling with a lot of different issues all at the same time, at the very same time, by the way, where the administration itself has priorities that have nothing, seem to have very little, nothing is an overstatement, but seem to have very little to do with defense. The trillions of dollars that are going to fight the pandemic, or for infrastructure, or for many other things, tend not to focus very heavily on the defense budget.
All right, in the time that we have left of, what should I pay attention to? What should people who care about this process watch in the coming weeks and months?
Well, the first thing is what's being done with the Army. Where is the Army going to come out? A second one to look at is the Navy. You know, the Chief of Naval Operations is still talking about 355 ships. What happens with that, and what kinds of ships? Are they going to be partially manned or unmanned? How much money is going to be spent on those? Then you've got the question of the ground-based strategic deterrent, the third leg of the triad. Is that going to be funded? There's a big debate about that. So there are some major muscle movements that are going to be debated over the next few months.
Dov Zakheim, thanks very much as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.